Okay, this time we are uh, talking rally English in Suuressa mukana program. I tried to teach also rally English to our guests who are here, but I don't know how well they can speak rally English. But hey, let's give them any anyway chance to talk just their own way. Welcome to our program, Scott and Joy Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
And the reason that we are here is Scott's new book, Being Family. But if we're talking about family, we have to talk before that love story. And your love. There's a good, I think there's two love stories. There's God's love story and there's a man and woman's love story. So let's start with your love story. How you two got to know and got married.
We've never done a podcast together, so this is going to be a little awkward for us. I podcast all the time, but
I've never been on
Oh,
podcasts.
I'm not used to having.
Great that you're here now.
Yeah, so
I'm
he's
the
so
first
excited.
one.
So I'll let her tell it, and then I'll correct any mistakes she makes.
Which is basically how it always goes after almost 32 years of marriage. So we met at Lutheran camp here in the same mountain range that we currently live in down in Southern California at what was at the time Arrowhead Lutheran Camp. And I was a student at a Concordia University out in Chicago. And for the summer, I was interested in going somewhere and doing something fun instead of just going home to my boring family. And so I looked into where could I go? Sure, work at camp for the summer. I love camping. So I said, where's the farthest place I could go? So found out there was one here in the mountains of Southern California. And so I applied for that and got hired at the camp with Scott and one of the other directors at 1517. And we became instant friends. And within a week, we were on a date.
After 1 week.
He was really cute.
Okay.
How could I say no?
Well,
He was
then.
a Lutheran guy with really, really nice calves, like really muscular legs. He was a rock climber. And that was very interesting to a girl who had come from inner city Chicago. And so I was head over heels. We fell in love very, very quickly. And by the end of the summer, after knowing each other for 68 days, we got engaged. He flew out to Chicago, asked my parents for my hand in marriage, and then they asked us to wait 1 year before we got married, which we did not want to do, but we did do. And then the next August, we got married. And then I got pregnant on my honeymoon.
Scott, first date, where you met then? Did you go to climbing or something?
Not. I mean,
Kind
of. Not really. What did we? I forgot what we did. I probably took her because I lived in Lake Arrowhead when she got there. I was one of the program directors for the camp. One of the people that hired her to come out. So
he
I
was my boss.
and, we don't do this in 2026 because of the power imbalance, but I was her boss. And I don't remember, but we probably went to one of the restaurants that I always go to. Papagayos there, El Cantina del Papagayos in Blue Jay.
Still in Blue Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were only, it's a
Like
small town. There's
3
like 3
restaurants.
restaurants to choose from. So to this day, there's like 3 restaurants to choose from there. And so we went there, and then I took her out up on this big rock outcropping that you have to climb up. Not that far. You have to climb up about 10, 12 feet. But you get up to the top and you go out to the edge. I didn't know that she didn't like edges of rocks.
I didn't know I didn't like edges and that I had a fear of heights because I'd never been up on anything that high.
and then out to the edge, the literal edge. And you can see from this edge, you can see a good portion of Southern California. It's crazy. Like
it's like being in an airplane.
When it's clear, you can see kind of from like South Orange County, North San Diego, up all the way to LA. Just as a point of reference, in the 90s when the LA riots were happening and they had all the fires in LA, we could go out to this rock outcropping and look, 100 miles to the northwest, and see the LA fires. And so I took her out there and I showed her my kingdom, the West Southern California, and I said, if you just date me, all this could be yours. And it worked.
And then for our 25th anniversary, we actually went and climbed out back up on those rocks. It was very fun. Yeah.
Did you start talking already back then about family and getting babies and that stuff?
So I think it was both of us when we just initially met. That's pretty much what I had always wanted to be, was a mom. And Scott always wanted to be a dad. And so then we figured out very quickly, when you live at camp, you're with each other basically 24 hours a day, minus sleeping time, although we didn't have a lot of that because I was with campers and he would come visit me outside the teepee.
Very much against the rules.
Against the rules, of which he was enforcing against all the other counselors would come say hi to me. But we had both figured out that we both wanted to be parents very, very much. And so I think that's probably why I ended up pregnant on our honeymoon.
Yeah, I did. We both wanted families. I didn't have the imagination for you wanted 6 kids.
Yeah, I
thought
6.
maybe 2 or 3. I didn't really have that all thought out all that much. I don't think guys put as much thought into that. I knew I wanted to be a dad, and I knew I loved working with kids, and I loved kids, and that it'd be very important to me. But I always say I don't have the imagination that most other people have. And so when I think of kids, I'm just kind of like thinking of this blob that's kids, not like
kids,
7 kids with all the names and all this. And and very much she would do that. To me, it was just like, I want kids. I want a family. I don't know exactly what that's going to mean, but she was very
and I'm like,
definite.
6 kids, 4 boys, 2 girls. I have all the names picked out, middle names included. And
I wanted this blob that was a family.
And I just knew I wanted a big family because my family was small. I had 2 brothers and we were not very close, but all I wanted was to have a big family and have it be very close, very tight, playing cards and games every night. And that's, we kind of got that. But then the reality came after our daughter that it was probably not to my health benefit to have any more kids after our 3rd one.
Well, it was definitely not to your health benefit.
Yeah, no, it was. He actually thought he was going to be left alone with 3 children when I had our daughter. It was not good. And so.
Well, it would have been a choice. It would have been a choice for if you had more kids, for C-sections for all the kids that you had from that point forward.
Which I did not do.
But if she wasn't going to have C-sections, it was going to be very, very dangerous for her to have more kids.
So at that juncture, I realized, well, when they all get married, that will mean I will have 6 kids. So they're each going to have a spouse, and those will become our kids too. And
And now you're taking care of them also.
Yeah. Now I said, well, I mean, we all take care of each other. Let's say.
Well, she watches them a lot more than I do.
Well, I watch my grandchildren. Yeah.
But then, in some point in your life, you got to even after kids, you got time to write book, and you wrote this book, Being Dad, Scott. I got this a couple of days ago, so I haven't been reading this so much yet.
No.
But I started already. But next book that is coming is Being Family. So is this like Star Wars? This is like episode 4. and family is episode 5.
That's kind of funny. I mean, I didn't just write Being Dad. I always tell the story that I waited to write Being Dad until my kids were mostly grown up to make sure that, you can't write a book that's called Being Dad if you have like a kid in prison and your daughter gets pregnant at 13 or something like that. You can't, it just, those things don't go together. So I kind of waited until I was pretty sure everything was going to be okay with all of them, and then wrote Being Dad. And then my professor at Concordia had a lot of influence on stylistically. Well, I'd say my fathering style, first of all, but then secondly, just stylistically, the route that book was going to take. And so I wrote Being Dad, but I very much wrote it, I think, on behalf of Rod, who probably should have written it.
But you asked him to, and he kept telling you, no, you're the better. You will do this much better than I will.
And so, and it did really well. I mean, it's not like I watched a YouTube video yesterday where the guy that started Saddleback sold 15 million copies of his book. I mean, we're not talking about 15 million copies, but it did pretty well, and it still does well, honestly. And years later, it still does pretty well. And so, one of the funny things is when you write a book like that you don't really intend to be an advice book, but is an advice book, because I mean, I say in the first like 10 words, this isn't an advice book, but it ends up being that to some degree. And then you go out speaking on it for a decade. Inevitably, you start to get asked, when are you writing the next book? And the first one that was proposed to me, like right after our first granddaughter was born, was being a grandparent. And I was literally like, my granddaughter is like 8 months old. How do I write a book on being a grandparent? I don't even know what this looks like yet.
He hasn't even changed her diaper yet.
Yeah, I still could never have changed one diaper for all our grandkids. But
your job.
No, yeah. And so I just kind of organically, as our family developed as it has, the way it has, it became more apparent that the book to write was about being not just a family, like that original family of the husband, wife, mom, dad, and the kids, but of what that looks like as it extends out to your kids get married, have grandkids, your parents are getting older and you're helping to take care of them, that type of thing. And so I wrote Being Family. The impetus for writing Being Family was actually I was asked to do a high school talk here in America, up in Oregon, which I don't, believe it or not, I know I just did that for you guys and it went pretty well, but that's not like my stock and trade, not high schoolers. And when I first got asked to do this high school thing, I was like, huh? What? Say that high school. And so, but then I wrote these 2 lectures that were, I mean, you heard sort of the combination of those 2 lectures on the Friday night, the 10 o'clock thing on Friday night that I did there with you guys in Finland. And it was just really about, the fact that God gives these 3 blessings in the garden to have work, to get married, and to have kids, and that generationally these things are being overlooked. And the lecture really hit. I mean, I had pastor after pastor come up to me after that thing and just say how much this message was needed. And so from that point on, I started doing more serious research into the Being Family book, and I sat on it for
a year or 2.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah.
Until, because the decision to write a book is a weird decision. I mean, people just sort of take it for granted, but it's a weird thing to say you're going to do, because you're all of a sudden saying, I have enough to say on this that I think people should listen to me.
Well, it's also, I'll say it's a very large commitment.
Yeah.
Also, the way Scott writes, I think, is not typical. So when Scott writes something, he has like a photographic memory. So he had in his head the chapters, and then he could go back in and say, in this chapter, I want to make sure I say this. and then I want to make sure I say that, and then I need these resources. And so there's, footnoting and a lot of reading outside of yourself. This isn't all just divine inspiration, right? So a lot of research and reading that he did on the outside, and then that all has to be documented and then put together. And he had kept just notes in his phone, and sometimes he would literally be on a jog, and he would call me from his phone while he was running and say, "Can you write this down? I have this on."
Well, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely 100% true. And he would tell me a quote,
Yeah.
and he would say, "Just
It was
put
one of
this
my
somewhere and
major
write it down."
disappointments about the Apple Watch. I felt like with the Apple Watch, as I'm running, I should be able to say, "Hey, take a note," and maybe it can do it now, but it was to me, it was one of the big reasons I got that thing instead of I loved my Garmin, but got that thing is because it was supposed to be better at that. But so no, I'd still end up just
calling me.
I'd call her and be like,
all
"What are
the
you
time.
doing? I need you to write this."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't even care what you're doing.
Yeah.
You just write this down."
But
Yeah.
how about Joy? Because what kind of this process have been for you? Because being family, this is really personal topic, and your husband is writing it. Are you reading everything that he writes, and then you comment, "Hey, that's too personal"?
Oh gosh, no.
How it feels?
Whole chapters right after they were done.
After he would
I sent
finish
you the marriage chapter.
Yeah, you sent me the marriage one. You sent me one on grandparenting.
Yeah.
You sent me the one on men getting a job.
So to be fair, she had already heard the.
I mean, I live this.
Yeah, she lives it.
I live this. Everything he says is everything we live.
And she had already heard the 2 lectures that were the basis of the first 3 chapters. She'd already heard these things. I mean, she heard the first version of the one that got me into trouble in Arkansas, where I said I wanted at least 9 grandkids, and I wanted my kids to live close, and I didn't
4
care.
miles.
I didn't care what this did to their psychology.
He said, "You're going to tell your counselor about it. I don't care."
She lived it.
I'm like, "Yeah,
and
no,
she lived it our whole
not
lives as
true."
I would say these things to the kids. And
I'm the one who told all my
yeah,
children
she is.
for their entire lives. I said, marry somebody Lutheran.
Yeah.
And for many years, Scott looked at me and he goes, "Honey, you can't say that to them." And I go, "Why not?" Because here's the deal. I know from personal experience, if they marry a Lutheran, 80% of the arguments that married couples have, you won't have. There's no discussion about what church you're going to, what your faith is, what you believe in God, what you believe in Jesus, how you're going to raise your children, which church they're going to go to. That's a giant amount of huge, important discussion questions you would have with a spouse who isn't Lutheran.
Well, and to be fair,
baptizing
to make marriage easier.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
And baptizing also, that's quite big.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not like I disagreed. I didn't disagree at all.
You just thought it was harsh.
No, I didn't even think it was harsh. I just thought in the cultural landscape that is America, unless your kids, as they get grown, go to one of the Lutheran colleges and or go work at a Lutheran camp, the chances that the person they meet are going to be Lutheran is going to be pretty low. That was it. I totally agreed. And I've always agreed with that. I mean, it's why I intentionally met her at camp. It's why, if Lutheran kids are going to go to college, I think it's a good idea that they go to a Lutheran college just so that they can meet another Lutheran. But it was clear to me that at least 2 of our kids probably weren't going to go to college. And for our middle son, I didn't really know where he would make that happen.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to be careful and open up the possibility that people can convert into Lutheranism too. I never, in saying, "Hey, be careful," I was never saying, I always had the expectation that my grown-up kids would still be Lutheran, as would their spouses. I just was leaving room for our son-in-law that has converted into Lutheranism. So,
but when you think it's okay to start talking about that kind of things for your children, when you grow up, you have to get married and
Eh.
get many children, so I will be grandfather.
So I would say you don't even have
That's
to
the way I
be-
talk to my children.
So I
Oh
would
yeah,
say
I've seen it. That's how you do it.
I would say it doesn't even have to be that direct. You just speak of it as if it's
Normal.
the thing.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, so remember this day when you come over with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, like it's just
Yeah.
naturally spoken about.
I'd
This
say
is the expectation.
the problem is, so like if you're looking to give, this is what I found out with these books. People want a formula. They ask you that question. They want to know. They want me to tell them when it's okay to start saying this, right? Because they don't know. They honestly don't know. It's kind of natural to me and kind of natural to Joy. But for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I have no idea when's the right time to bring this up. I would say at the very least, I would start bringing it up explicitly when you start explicitly talking to them about what they're going to do after high school. So if that's at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whenever that is, at least by then. Because the thing that I say in the book is that the problem for Christians is that this just doesn't even make the list of things we talk to them about regarding what they're going to do after they leave our house. We talked to them about everything else, like
go to college,
career,
get a degree,
save money,
have the job, buy the house, get the master's degree.
But we don't say, oh, and by the way,
when you're married,
this is really important too. And it's so important that God gave it as a blessing all the way back in the first couple chapters of Genesis, before the fall. Like, so whenever it is you start having those conversations, at the very least, I'd start then. But I think Joy's absolutely right. The better move is just to make it organic into your life. Like it, yeah.
And I think for us, one of the pretty much normal things that I had wanted that I missed out in my family was the dinner table. So at the dinner table,
it's interesting to me because by the time I got there, they set a dinner table all the time.
Yeah, right. But that was not our normal because my mom was working, my dad was working nights. So he would come home. We had dinner together on the weekends as much as possible. And there was always Sunday dinner after church. My mom would put the roast in the oven as we headed off to church, and everybody would come back, and we had a big meal in the dining room. And I loved that. So I wanted that every day. And I was like, well, what's the harm in having that every day? And then when we did have that meal every day, it was talk. It was just what's on your mind. And there was no topic that was never allowed in front of everyone. So we talked about anything and everything, and nobody was ashamed, and nobody felt like they would be ridiculed. We didn't ridicule each other. In fact, one of the other things that we don't do in our house is we don't like put people down.
Yes, we do.
In a joking, loving way. And some people can do it better than others. Some of us can't do it at all. But everything was open on the table. You could discuss anything.
I agree with that. That's true. I just like to be clear with people because sometimes people hear these like Pollyanna stories and think that we like did it all right and had it all perfect and all this. Right. Oh, we had dinner together every night. That never failed. Blah, 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 blah. That's not true at all. Like, for a lot of our marriage when our kids were young, Joy had to work. I wasn't making very good money and Joy had to work. And so the way we did it is I would work basically from like 7 a.m. till 3:30 or 4 p.m. and I'd come home and
my job started sometime after that.
Her job usually started a little bit before that. And so I had a job where I could put the kids at place in my work for a while.
Or we hired a 1-hour babysitter.
Yeah, I hired a 1-hour babysitter and then I'd come home. And so many nights when our kids were growing up, they got dad meals, which is like
hot dogs and mac and cheese.
Yeah. Like, frozen vegetable. Yeah. I mean, like classic. Yeah. Together.
But still together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, mac and cheese and hot dogs together.
Yes. Oh, there's one called ghetto tacos. That's where you take every part of a taco and you mix it all together in the skillet and you put it in the tortilla.
Like I was a king of the dad meals, which were not complicated. I had just worked 8 or 9 hours and I just wanted to get dinner done. And did we sit down at the table? Yeah, we sat down at the table, but these meals were such that probably took 10 minutes to get that done, so it was important, and I do think that's important. And when Joy then didn't have to work, that became more of an official kind of thing. But I think bigger than whether or not we were able to pull off meals every night, which is a great thing if you can, and I highly encourage it, was just, and I tell this to people and they don't believe that I mean it, and I really do mean it, and Joy means it too, is that there was no topic that I wouldn't talk about with my kids or that she wouldn't talk about with our kids. Like, there's just no topic. And it was kind of funny when the guy was interviewing me for the magazine when I was with you guys, this topic came up and he was like, "Really?" And I'm like, "No, really."
I don't want them getting their answers from somebody else that I don't know or don't trust or wouldn't agree with.
Like,
and
think
now
of the most awkward topic that you could ever have with your child. I was willing to have that topic.
You didn't say go to your mom.
No. If they brought one to me that I thought was maybe I'm not the best person to ask on that, I would say, let's have that talk with your dad, because I think I have some things to say, but I think he'll also have some different things.
There were some things specifically with my daughter when she was 13 or 14 that I definitely wanted Joy to take care of. But one of the hard things there is I would say, and I don't mean this as an insult to Joy, my daughter prefers having those deeper conversations with me. Just where she and I
they're besties.
We think alike. And they don't think alike, the two of them. And so it's a little harder, but still there are things that, but the conversation was still going to be had, whether it was with me or with Joy. I wasn't going to let the conversation. And I think about this with like everything, like, why would we put off what we want our kids to believe about sex, homosexuality, transgenderism, marriage, abortion? Why would we put that off to anybody else? Like, and so all these politics, like what you think about politics, like culture, your values. I mean, these are things that parents shouldn't offload. I mean, this is what the responsibility of being a parent is. And so much of it's offloaded because we want the professionals to do it or whatever. And it's, I think it's tragic, honestly.
I mean, religion and politics were probably the two biggest conversations.
Still with my kids.
We had at the tip, and we still do.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb and Scott talk to each other hourly about politics happening in the world. But I would say that Caleb and Autumn both will come to you first, and our middle son Joshua will definitely come to me first.
That's for sure.
Conversations.
In recent years, I've had to be more than I like the voice of the law with our middle son, and I think that's very much meant that he goes to Joy, which is great.
Yeah.
But when you were talking here, one big thing that you mentioned was you will fail anyway. Is this one big topic also in book? Because
oh yeah,
I think it was really important when you were talking about this family and vocation of family, that anyway you will fail also. But
right,
yeah.
I'd say real quick before, I know you're going to have a whole book on this, but I'd say one of the things that I've learned as just a Gen Xer, a wife, a human being, an American, is that nobody does everything right the first time. And that honestly, the failure humbles you and makes you that much better. But then realizing that, okay, this isn't the end. I can do this as many times as it takes me to feel like I got it the way I wanted it. And I'd say there's so many different ways to do that. But Scott had his college students one year read a wonderful book called
Shop class? Is that what you're thinking?
Zen.
No, shop class.
It was shop class as Soulcraft.
Yep, Matthew B. Crawford.
And at the end of this, the students had to take on a project where they built something with their hands that they had never done before. And you should have seen the chairs that the students built and things. We all laugh at them.
Built some amazing things.
But you could look at them and go, yeah, a great job. This is better than I could do. But also, like, they all came out so proud of themselves.
We had college girls knocking on our door at like 10:30 at night asking to borrow tools.
Like 21-year-old
yeah.
young ladies asking to borrow tools and bringing over this chair that looked like if, a 2-year-old sat on it, they were going to have shards in their back.
The one kid built a guitar box ukulele that was beautiful and worked great. The one girl recorded herself doing a full tune-up on her car, like oil change, spark plugs, the whole 9 yards on her car, and they were just so proud. And the reason it was important is because they were college students. Nobody had ever told them in their lives that they would have to do something with their hands. They were always told they had to do something with their mind. But to answer your question kind of more directly, that personally in our marriage, failure and admitting failure, I think, has been hard for Joy originally at the beginning, because in her family there was big consequences for failure.
And you didn't talk about anything.
I didn't grow up with that. My mom was very gracious and forgiving, and I didn't really grow up with this culture of you couldn't say you messed up. She did. That was hard at the beginning, like first 5 or 10 years of our marriage. That was kind of hard. And getting to know her family more, it made a lot of sense why she wouldn't want to.
You went to bed. It was really interesting that you went to bed angry and then you woke up the next day as if nothing ever happened.
Yeah, and I can't do that.
And he was like, wait, what? Yeah. Why aren't we talking about this? I didn't sleep at all last night.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that doesn't work for me.
What are you talking about? It's all gone, right? And he's like, no, I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah. But the reality of just when you decide to get married and when you decide to have a family, the thing that you have to understand is, just like I'm talking about working through this for the first 10 years of our marriage, is that your life you're not deciding to get together with somebody and create something perfect. Like, you're deciding to come together with somebody and make something blessed by God, instituted by God, and meaningful, but still as a sinner. Which means you're going to mess up. They're going to mess up. You're going to be a bad husband. She's going to be a bad wife. You're going to be a good husband. She's going to be a good wife. Your kids are going to be bad kids. Your kids are going to be good kids. And this is going to be like, you might bounce between these things 26 times in one day, and that this is the reality of life. I recently told my middle son and his wife, who are working through some of this stuff, that the worst thing you can do when you get married is expect like a lot of special, and perfect, and I'm so happy I'm married.
And we have a date night every single
this time together and all this, and it's like, give me a break, okay? Because marriage and family is still just life, which means about 5% of it is really awful, about 10% of it is really great and joyous, and the rest is somewhere in between where you're just kind of getting it done. But the benefit to that attitude when it's marriage and family is that what you're doing in that getting it done is meaningful and impactful and blessed by God and instituted by God for the purpose of bringing more people into the world that then become more Christians, so that one day when we're all in glory and we're all with the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit together, that is all filled up, that it's standing room only. But that means that when you encounter these failures that you are going to encounter in the 5% of really bad time, that the words of forgiveness in Jesus Christ are fast on your lips, because that's what he calls us to do in these vocations with each other.
A night there in the beginning, I had to stay up late, which I don't do.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not going to sleep.
I'm not sure I would press that again
until we get. No, we don't need to.
That's a young man's mistake.
That was a young man's game. But we don't we don't stop until we get to the forgiveness part.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to get through the dirt and the ugly, and then there will be forgiveness, and we will go to sleep with peace in our hearts and our minds.
It's not always easy.
It's not.
Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry, yours.
Okay.
I think it was this book's trailer or somewhere was mentioned this phrase. I think it's actually really good. Do I have to even read the book if I read just this phrase?
Yes.
You don't have to build a perfect family. You have been given one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the family that you've been given by God is the one that you're called into to freely serve and to be served by. And there's nothing better than that. And you can't expect anything more than that. And that at the end of the day, you know, when your time on this earth has reached its conclusion and you look back on it, the thing that you'll be most thankful for are those people and that God has called in your life and the time that you had with them. It's kind of an old trope, but nobody looks back on their life at the end of their life and says, I wish I had spent more time at work. They all say, I wish I had spent more time with my family. And I think more people should hear that because we're in a very, especially in America, I assume there too, kind of looked like it when I was there. We're in a very like work culture, which is great. Like, I mean,
people should work.
Work is meaningful, and our vocations is how we serve the world too. But
working for your family is different than working for yourself.
Yeah. And it's a direct blessing. You're blessed by them. You get to forgive them and they get to forgive you and vice versa.
Joy, if you think now this Scott's book, now Scott have to be quiet. Sorry. But why people should read it?
Why should people read it? I think because it just re-sparks in you what you already know. It's all the things that God has already laid on your heart, in that you know you are in this body of Christ and our calling is to continue this body of Christ. And to do that, you get up, you work hard, you do you feel better when you've done something with your person, whether it's intellectually, writing down, recording, all those things, or working physically with your body. You feel a sense of completion, and God gave that to you. He gives that to you as a gift. Work is a gift. And then working for the benefit of those people that are the closest to you, that you're going to love the most, you're going to have the most intimate relationships with, and you get to do it together. And it's messy, but you know what? Out of messy comes greatness, because you can say, we've done that hard thing and accomplished it. And my gosh, the pride you get to have in that is so much more than just doing something. You're like, yay, I got that thing done for me. I mean, when you can celebrate that with someone else, it's 50 times the wonderful joy that comes to you. And then when you get to do that with the little people that you've created with the two of you, and now we're seeing that with the little people that are now big people who've created more little people. Oh my gosh, the joy just keeps abounding. And so where we're living in this world of go get your goodness, be good to yourself, do these things for you, you. It's more like go do it with and make them, be a them. Be a you second person plural, right? Like not the first person singular. And that's what God intended for us. And when you hear that back in your ears again, you're like, I know that that's real. And I know that that's bigger than I am. And yeah, I want that. So that would be my encouragement as to why you read this, because it's just going to set you back on the path of, yeah, this is actually ordained by God, you know, and I know this God, and I know this God loves me, and he sent his son to die for me and give me these opportunities. A lot of people like to say, you know, oh, we're Christians and we have to be we have to do. And I say, no. That's the wrong mindset. We are Christians, and because of Christ's death and resurrection, we get to do these things. We are free to do them. And the things that he does give us, like the family, it's all gift. And it's because it's given by God, it is perfect. It's for us, it's a gift.
Do you buy that?
Do I buy it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't have said as much, but yeah.
No, my book, if I wrote it, would be 555 pages.
I mean, yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I'd add to that. It's kind of, I had my friend Magnus Persson write the foreword to the book, and I sent him the PDF copy that was like a draft, right? And he told me that he wrote it, but he told me later that when I asked him to do that, he looked at his wife and said, I don't think I can do this. We haven't done this right. Our kids haven't turned out like their kids have turned out on the whole. Now, they have great kids. I'm not, but it's just their life has been different. And he was apprehensive. And then he read the book, and he read how much forgiveness is in it for people that have already done it wrong, quote unquote, right? Or have done it where it just hasn't turned out the way it has for us, and how much forgiveness and grace there is in Christ in the book for that. And I'd say that's why people should read it. Now, at the end of the day, for me, the target audience really is people with young children or kids that are not out of the house yet, and high schoolers,
college students,
because this is very much a
mindset change.
Yeah. What should your mindset be going into it? Now,
20s.
I realize if you already have kids, that's what should you teach your kids' mindset to be, then would be the answer to that. So that's different in a sense than being dad. And for being dad, I was really trying to encourage people that were going to be dads or were dads to kind of really reframe what it meant to be a dad.
But I thought at the same time, so our daughter-in-law Caleb's wife was just getting to be our daughter-in-law at the time that Scott wrote Being Dad. And she read it in she's a very fast reader. She read it in about a day and a half. And she came back to him just in tears. And she said, Being Dad tells you what, as a Christian woman, you want in a husband. She said, every young woman I know should read this book, because you look to the beautiful picture of a head of a family and a helper and a wife, and he is the leader, and I have the joy of being able to be relaxed, whereas in this day and age everything is women power. Women can do everything a man can do. And she's like, and we really can't, and we really shouldn't. And this is God's design, is that he is the head, I am the helper. And from that point on, she was like, this makes sense. And so I think that framed her as she became a wife and a mother as well.
And she said it. I mean, she said it. Okay.
Yeah, Scott didn't say it, but I'll tell you, that was many a conversation. But I knew going in, I did not want to be in charge. I didn't even want to be equal.
Well, the thing is,
I don't want to be
different.
Equal.
That's different. Yeah. That's not what Being Dad doesn't say. Like, in all of your decisions in the house, the man has to.
No,
that's not what it says.
No,
that's not even the implication.
No,
the reality is it's talking about head of the household in terms of what it means to lead the family in faith, and that's what it means. And then I just give some data in there about how important it is for the father to be really, leading the way in the house when it comes to that. Now, this can be a partnership leading the way, but that's fine. But the point of Being Dad was that all too often in our society, it's just the woman and mom doing everything. And I was trying to encourage men to really step
back up.
So
yeah, because
for the Finnish audiences out there, I don't make her submit to like my grocery list and everything. I mean, a little bit, but
I asked him what he was.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I will say though, I haven't been to a grocery store in a very long time, so I don't even know what my options are.
Thanks for this chatting with you. But at the end, I want to ask just shortly, because I was comparing this to Star Wars if being dad is episode 4 and episode 5 is, I know that you liked Star Wars, especially back in the day. And episode 5 would be this being family. What would be episode 6?
6.
And after that, we can talk about in future episode 1 and to 3.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, I love how you're doing this.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could think of, and there would have been an argument for doing the one I'm going to say second and being family third. It's just that men are in such a tough spot right now. In general, everywhere in the West, men are just in a tough place. They're not working. They're not getting married. They're not procreating. They're not succeeding in school at the rate that women are. That being man should probably be next. The reason I didn't do it is because there are a lot of people trying to help with that in various ways. It's not like men are in a tough spot right now and nobody's trying to do something about it. A lot of people are trying to do something about it. When I wrote Being Dad, I didn't see anybody in our world, like the Lutheran world, Lutheran Christian greater world, even the broader Christian world, doing something like Being Dad to try to help dads in the house and in the church. I haven't seen anybody do anything like Being Family for the church either. Now, it's happening on the secular side. Some people are writing about the lack of fertility and the marriage crisis and the men's work crisis. People are writing about that, but I've not seen anybody take this into what it's doing, not just to the family and society, but to the church too.
Mm.
And so that's why Being Family was next. If the stuff is still going on with men to the rate that it is in 5 years, I would probably consider writing something with a lot of help on being man.
Maybe that would be episode 3.
Yeah.
Because
it's going back.
it comes.
Yeah. But I have a feeling that some of this is going to change and that there are some glimpses that it's changing already. It's just hard because we tend to think that it takes a major societal shift to make a major change, and it doesn't always. I've heard the statistics many times in my life that there can be a 3% shift that really changes the culture. And I think we're kind of seeing part of that 3% shift with men. But the reality is it has taken men almost 25 years to get to kind of like the deplorable state where they are now. And it will probably take that amount of time to get back if they're going to get back. But I just don't think that this sort of, and I'm not even saying like an anti-feminist thing, like this dangerous hyper-feminism that is retributive. And by that, I mean, it's like intended to punish men that weren't even born when women were kind of like put down. So you're going to punish you because you're a man. You didn't participate in what I went through in the 60s or the 70s,
but you're a man,
the 80s or whatever to get to where I am, but you're going to get punished for it nonetheless. And these dudes are like, man, I was born like 15 years ago. What are you talking about? Since I've been born, you've been in charge. It's like, and so I think, so I'm just kind of holding off. Men are kind of taking back for lack of a better term, conservative positions. They're coming to church at a much higher rate, coming back to church at a much higher rate than young women are. They're seeking traditional values at a much higher rate than young women are. So I just kind of want to see how that plays out. The reality is though, is that they're going to have to decide to become, and I hate to say this because I am one of the people that would say not everybody needs to go to college, but they're going to have to take back the educational posture to at least 50% to make a massive change. In other words, it was fine to say that university education should be equal. Like, the world is 50% men, 50% women. University should be 50% men and 50% women. I guess that was fine. But the reality is that it went to 70% women, 30% men. And for men to actually get some back, to some parity of what I guess was the original goal of equality. that's going to have to change again. And I don't see signs of that changing yet. So same in the workforce. And the more that like AI takes over intellectual jobs, maybe that'll mean that the workforce kind of leans more male again, because some of it'll be hands-on. I don't know. Some of that is yet to be seen, and I'm here to watch, but I'm also getting older. Maybe Caleb will have to write the next book.
Well, let's hope that that at least someone will write something, and we still will read in future also. Thanks, Joy, and thank you, Dr. Scott Keith. This book, Being Family and Being Dad, can be found. You can find it from 1517.org.
Yep.
And in Finland, you can order it from amazon.de. So
right.
It's possible to find also there. But hey, thank you for this. I'll be waiting to that book will come also to Finland, so I'm able to read it also. And maybe before
I could probably send you some.
Maybe before that I'll read this. But
it's a quick read. I actually wrote something in there too.
Oh yeah, she did.
All our kids did.
Yeah.
So you get to read a bit from the whole family.
Great. For our listeners, we will also palataan suomen kieleen. We will get back to Finnish speaking also on next episode. It will be normal and no more rally English. Hey, you didn't talk about rally English, by the way. Next time when you come to Finland, you will have to learn better rally English.
Rally
But thanks.
All right.